worked the year before and just came into this year with a different mindset.
Well, as the breakout player of training camp, I don't think that there's any doubt that you were the wide receiver that got the most among the most attention. But how have you handled all extra attention, because you got a lot more media? You're here to start the Cowboys Hour for us. How have you personally handled all of that?
I mean, taking with a grain of salt, honestly. Like I say, I try to stay in the neutral and not get too high, get too low. Obviously, God blessed me with the talent and ability to be able to perform how I did this preseason, and He's given me everything that I have to this point. And so you have to stay humble with everything that you provided. And so just being able to stay humble and continue to work for Him and work for myself and this team is something that I'm focused on, not really the outside attention that I'll be receiving for it. And so the same way that I got it can be taken from me. And so just continuing to work and thank God every day for blessing me with the talent and ability to be able to do this.
And I think you're going to have to get used to it, Jalen. Yeah. No, we're really looking forward to a great season for you. But last year, with the not playing that first game, how did you handle that mentally? And you, like Brad said, you just had such an outstanding offseason and training camp. How did you take what at the beginning of last year was a more humbling experience and then just come out on top?
Yeah, no, it definitely was a humbling experience. I went from being, that guy in college to coming here and not being able to dress for my first, for our first NFL game. And so I think it didn't hit me until later, a couple weeks after, just because I in my head I felt like it was like, okay, well maybe I can do something more, after this week and next week of practice to put myself in a different position, but it wasn't that case. And so honestly, it was hard. It was a lot of emotions that I had to deal with, and I got down on myself a lot. Got down confidence-wise and started questioning myself and a lot of things. And, I was able to build myself back up throughout the season with a lot of self-evaluation and talking with, guys like T.Y. Hilton that came on. James Washington was there. He was next to me in the locker. Just talk with him. And obviously, MG and Dak and CD played a lot in helping me grow and process, what was going on. And, just continuing, like I said, I did a lot of self-evaluation. So I started, paying more attention to what I felt like I could work on myself without the coaches having to speak on it, and just grew from there.
Yeah, but I think that's an interesting dynamic within a wide receiver room or any position group on an NFL team, because in training camp, you're competing for playing time, and a guy like Jalen Brooks is coming in, or Dennis Houston, who did start the first game last year as a rookie. And so you're competing, but yet you're cooperating because your teammates and you want what's best for the team. So how within the wide receiver room do you balance that competition and cooperation?
I mean, honestly, it's hard, but it's one of those deals where, I will never wish down on anybody. I will never, not want one of my brothers to succeed. And so having Dennis be able to be the one that started last year and, he came in undrafted was special. He started his path a different way than I started mine. And we all have our path. We all have different things that we deal with in life and deal with on and off the field. And so you can't compare yourself to other people's successes. And so I knew that. And, like I said, I got more down on myself and not mad at, the situation. It was more just about myself. I require more out of myself, and I'm hard on myself. And so it was more about me. It wasn't about the other people around me that were doing the things that I knew that I could do or wanted to do. It was just about supporting them as hard and much as I could until my opportunity came, and just continuing to grow from that.
We're on the Cowboys Hour, the first Cowboys Hour of the season, and we are at Cane Rosso in the Star District, and the Cowboys receiver Jalen Tolbert is our special guest this week. Back before talking about mental health was something that people were very much willing to do. Long before that, you're a baseball guy. One of my favorite quotes in sports is Yogi Berra, the great Yankee star, who said, or at least he's alleged to have said, 90% of this game is 50% mental. And this is the part of it that I would think people forget about. Last year, it wasn't just that you didn't play well. You got hurt real early in training camp, like day 2?
Yeah. OTAs, I tweaked it, and in training camp I kind of did it
Hamstring?
again. Yeah, my hamstring.
Okay, so it happened in OTAs. it lingered all through the spring, so you virtually didn't really have a spring. I look at a little bit what Luke Schoonmaker has been going through, and we can talk about that later, but he didn't have OTAs. And so you didn't have that last year, and you did not get on the field during preseason either, as I recall, did you?
No, I did. I played to a certain extent. I played more like first half, but it was still, I was still in my head about I could still feel a little bit of, what I was feeling early on, and it was one of those things that I knew I had to play. I knew that I had to do what I had to do to be out there, and so I was just trying to do what I could.
So this is so multi-layered, and I love these conversations. There's a difference, especially at this level of competition, between being injured and hurt. Right? You have to play hurt in the NFL. You just do.
Yeah, for sure.
Being injured is bad for your health and bad for your long-term longevity, right? So what you had last summer, were you hurt or were you injured?
I was hurt. I hurt my hamstring. I pulled it, and then Maya came back too fast. Who knows? And like I said, it's definitely not an excuse for anything that happened or how it happened last year. But I was in my head about that. A hamstring injury is something that I think, like you said, is very mental because your body feels like it's good, but you can still feel, achiness or whatever you felt kind of before is obviously not as bad as it was when you first did it, but you can still, it's there. And so, I had that in the back of my head as well, and then obviously on top of that, thinking about everything that I had to think about on the field was, I was doing a lot of thinking for, instead of just playing. And so it was one of those deals where, like I said, I wasn't playing as fast as I should have been playing. And
I love it in football. The personnel people and coaches always say they want smart players, and then they don't want them to think because you have to just react, right? You just have to play. So at what point did you talk to Michael Gallup about this last year? Everybody can see what he's like now, saw what he was like before he got hurt. That's not who he was last year. He didn't trust his knee yet. He wasn't all the way back. You kind of shared that, didn't you? Not really trusting an important part of your body, important part of your game?
Yeah, and obviously his is way, way, way more than mine. But, I did talk with MG a lot last year, even from the situation of me not playing as much as I wanted to or, and obviously I practice with these guys and talk with them and build bonds with them throughout the year. And so MG was one of the guys that I talked with a lot, and he told me kind of how his situation played out and, what he was going through, obviously, with his knee. And after the season, we just continued to – I stayed up here and worked, and we continued to grow kind of together. And, we went and ate together, went and got crawfish and, just did some stuff that, obviously continued to build that bond with the guys on the team. And so having MG to talk to, obviously, as he was going through something like he was big for me as well.
Is crawfish better for a hamstring or an ACL? I'm not sure which one.
No, crawfish the best, though.
I'm not sure which one it helps the most. I'm guessing the regular season started and you're trying to tell yourself, I know it doesn't feel right, but we can do this. We can play with this. And they were seeing something different, which is why you didn't dress. And that had to – at what point did you then say, I've got to approach this differently?
I think I knew that I could play, obviously, and I knew that my hamstring could hold up. It was just at that point, it was later than it should have been for me to catch on board offensively and stuff, because at the same time that I was going through that, I wasn't getting the special team reps or doing any of the stuff at practice. I had limitations to a certain extent of GPS numbers and stuff where I was held back just so that I wouldn't redo it. And so obviously I was doing a lot more watching and processing than I was actually doing the reps and stuff. And so me going into the year, I think once it did that, it was more of me trying to play catch up to a certain extent. And then, like I said, when I was playing catch up, it's a lot of thinking and a lot of obviously emotions after not dressing the first 2 weeks, and then a lot of thinking of plays and disguises and coverages and all type of stuff that I shouldn't have to be thinking about. Just go out there and play.
When Jalen says GPS numbers, we're going to pull the curtain behind the scenes on what happens at practice, and that is you guys in your shoulder pads, there are computer chips, there's data, and the football analytics people, there's literally guys at the edge of the end zone with a card table and a laptop. And what are they measuring? What are they looking at?
It's a handful of things. I think it's foot speed, acceleration, miles, how many, how far you run, how much you run, the load that you have, and so obviously coach and them were monitoring me, and I'm appreciative of it. Like I said, I don't regret anything that happened last year because it made me stronger and better on and off the field, but. Coach and them were monitoring me, and once I hit a certain mark on the GPS number, I actually had talked with him at one point. He was like, "You put your cleats in the ground pretty good, so my numbers, can get high." And he didn't know how much that I could handle outside of, obviously my injury that I had. And so once I got close to that mark or whatever, sometimes I would come to practice and it'd be like, "You're 25% less reps today. You're in GPS probation." And
GPS probation.
and that's just I get GPS probation, and the next day I can go out and do it. And so like I said, it was some days where I did a lot of just standing and watching, and obviously when you're watching and not being able to do, it's harder. I mean, it looks good on paper, but then when you're watching it flow and run in front of you, it's kind of you got to pick up fast. And so like I said, it was just last year I did a lot of thinking that I shouldn't have had to do.
Tom Landry and Vince Lombardi are turning over in their graves right now thinking about players being on GPS probation. It's not the same game, even though it's very much the same game. We are delighted to have all of you with us with Cowboys receiver Jalen Tolbert on the first Cowboys Hour of the season, and
Albertsons, when it comes to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to put Jalen Tolbert's last season completely behind us and go into the good news of this season when we come back on the Cowboys Hour.
Tom Thumb. Supported by Albertsons.
Welcome back. We're at Cane Rosso in the Star District for this first Cowboys Hour of the season. We'll be here for the first 4 shows of the year, so you can count on being back with us next week. I'm Brad Sham with Christy Scales. We want to say hello to all our listeners across the Dallas Cowboys radio network, everybody on DallasCowboys.com. Welcome to those listening on Double T 97.3 in Lubbock. And for those of you on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, happy Tuesday. It's a long story, but I'll explain it to some of the rest of you later on. So we're talking to Jalen Tolbert about the great off season that he's had, and really in many ways it feels like your career is about to begin, right? And ironically, the position depth is greater. Now, you're part of the reason for that, but Brandon Cooks wasn't here a year ago. As we just mentioned, Michael Gallup wasn't last year who he is now. So at what point do you feel like you realized that you had gotten over the mental hurt? You mentioned T.Y. Hilton. My recollection is he didn't get here till December.
Yep.
So had you already, in your head, had you cleared the hurdle you needed to clear before he got here, or how much did he help you get over that?
T.Y. was definitely a big part and a help for me last season when he came in, but I think I started to clear that hurdle and start, practicing at a faster level and doing less thinking and just doing what I knew that I could do at practice. And I mean, MG even would tell me, like, bro, you killing, CD and all the guys would tell me. And so it was just one of those deals, though, where it's like, I mean, it's later in the season, so it's late. And so, like I said, I just was practicing hard as I could, doing a lot of self-evaluation, so watching myself, what I was doing against the guys, because obviously I was doing more scout than I was doing offense. And so what I was doing against our defense, and like I said, it just continued to grow my confidence from there. And obviously once the season was over, I had the opportunity to really go and build that mental back all the way back up in my confidence. And like I said, T.Y. did an outstanding job of showing me how to, take notes. And, I'm like a sponge. So, I started playing football late. And so with these guys that have been successful in this league for a long time, anything that I can take off of them, I'm going to take off of them. And so, he taught me about note-taking, a little bit of note-taking. And, we would have talks about how his career started, and he would tell me, like, look, bro, you're going to be straight. Like, you're going to be good. And like I said, just hearing that confidence of a successful wide receiver and a guy that has been in the league for, 10-plus years, and what he's done and what he has seen, telling me that, he sees a lot in me is, obviously a confidence booster, and then just continuing to grow on that going into the offseason.
You mentioned your career started late. I think you're talking about high school, multi-sport star, basketball and baseball in particular. And from Mobile, Alabama, let's talk about that journey from Mobile and then South Alabama and here to the Dallas Cowboys. So why was it a late start to your football career? Did you enjoy the other sports more back then? Or?
I definitely did.
Did you think you were going to be a Major League Baseball player?
I definitely did, 100%. So I actually didn't start playing football until 11th grade, and I got my first offer going into that year. And I still remember when I got it, it was Jacksonville State, and I had just came back from Perfect Game in Atlanta. It's where you can go and play, a big tournament, East Point, and so Lake Point, and then I was at the camp watching my cousin, and the coach comes up. He's like, why aren't you camping? I was like, I don't have $80 right now to pay for a camp. We just came from Atlanta playing, Perfect Game. And he was like, go get your cleats. I'll put you to work. So I actually went and got cleats and went out there and ran a couple routes, and they offered me. And that was my first football offer. And like I said, I really just continued to grow with the friend group that I had in high school. All of those guys were football players, including my best friend and quarterback, Bubba Thompson, that plays baseball. And so, we would go hit in the cages, and then he'd be like, hey, let's go throw. And, I'd go out there and throw and catch. And like I said, I just continued to build that bond with those guys to a deeper level with football. And so I just kept going and started playing, and, it was fun, and started, falling in love with the competitive mindset that you had to have to play the game of football. And so just continued to grow upon it and get good as I could going into, my freshman year at South. And then obviously I went to South my freshman year, had an injury, It sat me down. And so after that injury, I came back, and it was one of those deals where it was one of the confidence things as well. You know, I came back from a knee injury, and, you know, similar. It wasn't ACL or anything, but it had some cartilage that chipped, and they had to fix it. And so that mental side of an injury is real. And so being able to conquer that and go and build on my career that I had there was special for me as well. And it kind of started similar to, you know, here. I didn't get much my freshman year, and then after that it just, you know, started rising and continued to grow from there. And like I said, I'm still learning the game to this day.
Yeah, but South Alabama was not your original option. Because Jacksonville State, they were going to let you play baseball?
Yeah, Jacksonville State. And
start?
I actually, other people don't know this, I actually committed to Michigan State. And then the day before signing, or the day of signing day that morning, I called Coach D'Antonio. I was going to actually play baseball and football at Michigan State. And I called Coach D'Antonio that morning and told him that I was going to flip and stay home at South and play both sports. And so that was my goal of going to South Alabama.
Wait, what changed your mind from going to Michigan State? Did you check the weather when they're playing baseball?
No, I didn't. But Coach D'Antonio was kind of iffy about me playing baseball. It was one of those deals where he gave me the option of like, hey, you know, it depends on how you're doing with football. And I had, you know, some people that were telling me don't stop playing baseball. You have an opportunity to get drafted and do, you know, certain things. And so I actually did a couple pre-draft workouts out of high school to go into the draft. So I entered it out of high school, and, you know, had an assistant that, you know, in baseball out of high school you don't get agents, you get assistants. And so he was, you know, helping me, and I, you know, went to Atlanta and did some stuff for actually the Rangers as well. And so having that in my head was, you know, obviously, like, if I go there and play football and, you know, who knows how it will go, and I'm not able to play baseball, then I'm selling myself short. And so I decided to stay home where they obviously is home. My parents could go to every home game, have a home-based support, and then able to play both sports, and whichever one was giving me the most benefit, taking and run with it. And so that's how I decided to go to South Alabama.
Yeah, but I heard Rangers in there, so we've seen how they've played the last couple of weeks. I mean, Brad's tight with the Rangers, and maybe Chris Young, the GM, we can give a call there. So what position?
I played the outfield.
You were
there
an outfielder?
There you go, yeah. I bet you had a gun. You could just –
I could run in an outfield. I could throw it
five-tool
pretty
player.
good, yeah.
Well, you mentioned Bubba Thompson. Of course, he's in the Rangers system. He had what in baseball they call a cup of coffee with them last year, and I know you stay in very close touch with him. How has he handled the uncertainty of major leagues, minor leagues, and how has his experience in baseball helped you with your young journey in the NFL?
I think it's one of those things where we work hand in hand off of each other. Obviously, that's my best friend, and we talk every single day. I was on FaceTime with him earlier today. And so, obviously, knowing his situation and how it was going, and obviously he know my situation. And so just being able to have somebody that actually is in the professional sport world and understands, you know, the work that you put in, and obviously you might not get the benefit or the you know, attention for it right now, but just continuing to keep doing it, and just having that guy that you can talk to outside of your sport about, you know, like I said, he'll talk to me about where his hands are when he's batting, and he might want to put them higher or lower, and I'll talk to him about, you know, route running or something, and just having that close friend that you can, you know, talk with. And like I said, our situations weren't the same, but they were similar to a certain extent, and so having him to talk with and get over mental humps as well is big for me.
So if you're an NFL player and you're mostly on the bench, you're still making a pretty good living, even at a rookie minimum. If you're a minor league baseball player on a minor league contract, you're not making that kind of living.
No, for
and
sure.
You're riding buses, and you're not staying in the same kind of hotels and everything else. So how does Bubba deal with that, and how has that helped you and kind of evaluate your own football situation?
Obviously, it's a blessing to be in both of our situations, and I think Bubba and I both know that it's beauty in the journey. And so if you're not where you want to be right now, you keep working until you get there. And so he's not going to harp on, you know, the money that he was making in minor league. He's blessed to be, you know, in AAA. He could be in single A. He could be not playing. He could be anywhere else doing anything else. And so take what you have at the moment. And like I said, when it's your time, it's going to happen. And so just continuing to, I think we both understand that. And like I said, it's beauty in the journey. So his journey, obviously is not over, and he will continue to work for, what he will earn.
So here's the real question. Would you rather catch the winning touchdown pass in the Super Bowl or drive in the winning run in the 7th game of the World Series?
I think I would rather drive in the winning run in the World Series just because that's outside of my sport, and so I'll be a dual sport athlete at that point.
Jalen, your paycheck is paid by Jerry Jones.
Yeah, that's
so we're going to give you a second pass on this
he
question. Would you rather catch the winning?
Nah, but I
touchdown?
definitely would rather do both. But if, like I said, if I'm able to, obviously if I'm able to have a good career right now in the NFL, and then that happens, I will be doing something good at both sports.
Deion Sanders did it.
Bo Jackson did it. Guys have done it. We are on the Cowboys Hour with the Cowboys' Jalen Tolbert at Cane Rosso in the Star District, and we'll be right back.
The official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. I'm Christy Scales, Cowboys radio sideline reporter, co-hosting with the voice of the Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham. And our guest is Jalen Tolbert, number 18, Cowboys' second-year wide receiver, the breakout star of training camp ready for a breakout regular season. And Jalen, even though today was Labor Day and hopefully most folks had the day off, it was game plan installation, getting ready for the regular season opener Sunday night in prime time at the New York Giants. And I'd love for you to talk about the challenges of preparing for a season opener against a Giants secondary that's going to have 2 starting cornerbacks that are rookies. So there's a wrinkle there. You haven't seen them play, except maybe a little bit in preseason on film. But Coach McCarthy said something interesting in his press conference today, that even when it's a common opponent like the Giants, that you know with their Wink Martindale, their defensive coordinator, kind of what to expect of him. Week 1 has about 35% of plays that are unscouted looks, meaning you're not quite sure, you're not replicating in practice what you think you're going to see on Sunday. So what are the unique challenges for this season opener?
I think the unique challenges are just being yourself. Obviously, you know what your identity as a team can be or is, and I think you have to focus more on yourself and doing your job to the best of your ability right now, because like you said, it's a lot of unscouted looks, and so just going out there and winning your one-on-one routes or winning your one-on-one, whether you're an O-lineman, wide receiver, defensive end, whatever it is. And obviously as the game goes on, you will see and understand what they're trying to do or what their plan was, and so you can go from there. But early on, until week 4, it's going to be unscouted looks, and a lot of stuff will be different from what you think it will be. And so it's about focusing more on yourself and not the opponent. It's about just doing what you know you can do and going out there and putting your best foot forward.
So if that focus is on your own identity, what is the identity of the offense this year? Because that's been one of the storylines of the offseason and training camp, is with Coach McCarthy calling the plays. What should Cowboys fans expect this year?
They should expect tempo, physicality, and obviously, like I said, it's a passing offense, and so going out and having some shots and having fun with the ball in the area. So that's what we're looking forward to on offense, and obviously defense is a gritty group, and we have a heck of a defense, and so they're just going out there and playing the defense that they've been able to play the past couple years, and so having us play hand-to-hand off of each other will be special, and so that's what we're looking forward to doing.
Something that you just said about winning your one-on-one battles clicked something in my head about a conversation that I was having with C.J. Goodwin today, and a lot of Cowboy fans don't pay close enough attention to C.J. Goodwin. I maintain if they had seasonal captains, it's not the way Mike McCarthy likes to do it, but if they had seasonal captains, C.J. Goodwin would be the captain of the special teams, right?
Definitely, for sure.
Okay. So he said, well, first, hold on to what he said. You mentioned special teams a little bit ago, and you didn't really have a chance to even do that last year. I'm guessing at South Alabama, you didn't play a whole lot of special teams, did you, when you were setting all the receiving records?
No, I never played a snap. I caught punts 2 times, or for one game, and 1.5 of another just for safe punt. I was told to not return it, just give us the ball back. And so that was my special team experience in college. And so coming here and learning the special teams was new for me as well.
So let's talk about special teams for a minute, because you're going to be playing teams this year, except that there's not much kickoff. Everybody's kicking the ball out of the end zone, or now they kickoff return team can fair catch it, and I'm not sure. I mean, you have to practice it, right? But I'm not sure how much you really get to do on the kickoff team. So tell me about that first, and then let's talk about how really punt and punt return, that's the meat and potatoes of the special teams now, right?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, kickoff, like you said, usually if you're indoors, for sure, the ball will probably get kicked out of the end zone. And depending on the weather and wind and where you're playing at, the ball might die. And so you might have an opportunity to put some in play or be able to make tackles. And so one thing that Bones expresses to us and stands strongly on is just run. So, like, you never know what a team might have or their idea of, maybe we're going to want to return to this game. So just run. And obviously kickoff is majority one-on-one battles as well. So just run, use your speed, use your physicality, and if they bring the ball out, then make a play. And so we have the same mindset whether we're inside or outside. It's one of those deals where it's just like you never know what can happen, so be ready so that if it does happen that you're not caught off guard where it's like, oh, I thought he was going to fair catch it or I thought it was going out of the end zone. Like, you just race down there and run full speed, and if they blow it off, then see who gets to the end zone first. And it's funny you mentioned CJ. Me and him raced to the end zone on kickoff a couple times in preseason. He's smoky, so he beat me. But
he's 10 years in the league. He still runs pretty good.
For sure. And so, but obviously, like you said, punt and punt return will be our bread and butter. And so having those two phases of special teams clicking on all cylinders will be special for us because obviously we have, Terp as a returner, and he can do anything with the ball in his hands. And then obviously we have Banger that can punt the ball, like no other. And so being able to down the ball deep in enemy territory and then being able to return it out of there will be special for our offense and defense.
Banger, I had to stop for a minute. That's Brian Anger.
Yeah.
That's B. Anger. CJ said something to me that I think I'd heard him say before, but I'd love to have your thoughts about it. Now, CJ Goodwin was a cornerback by trade. He came in the league as a cornerback, and he's been here 6 years now. Somewhere along the line, he just developed into such a good special teams player that it really, unless he was going to be an all-pro corner, it didn't matter. They needed him too much on teams, and that's where he is now. So I consider him a kind of an expert, and when he talks, I listen. And he said something that really intrigued me. He said, special teams is the purest part of football, especially in the NFL, because you can't scheme it like you do. You can scheme, but things happen, like you said, they break down. He said that's all about want to on special teams. You're nodding your head yes. Would you elaborate on that a little bit?
Obviously stuff never goes the way that you want it to go. The wind can kick the ball down and returner can muff it. You can get viced out of bounds by the two zeros on the outside of gunner. You could slip running down. Anything can happen on special teams, and it's one of those deals where it's no plays on special teams. It's just, go and attack. Like if you're a gunner, it's not a play where it's like run to the hash and then run back out this way and then turn this way. It's get down there fast as you can and make a play. Kickoff return, they tell you who to block and you block him. It's one-on-ones all over the field. There's never, it's never real plays or schemes that you really draw up. And so I think, what he said is true. You just go out there and you just play, and it's one of those deals where you can really slow the game down for yourself by special teams by just going out there and playing. It's not a lot to think about. It's not a lot to really worry about, but making the play and doing your 111.
When you mentioned Bones a few minutes ago, I think most Cowboys fans know that that's John Fossil, the Cowboys special teams coordinator, but I think he has the hardest job on the staff because there's so much turnover year to year on special teams and guys who didn't play in college like yourself because you were the star, whatever position, skill position, and then now suddenly you're thrust into it at the NFL level. But when I was talking with John and with CJ before training camp, it's like, who are going to be the guys to replace the unsung heroes of this team, the Luke Gifford, who was such a core guy on special teams and left in free agency as with the Tennessee Titans. And they're mentioning guys, for example, Tyler Coyle, who ended up not making the 53-man roster out of camp. Who should Cowboy fans be paying attention to who you think can emerge as the real core guys on teams this year, in addition to, of course, Turpin, who gets all the publicity as the return man?
Wanye Thomas, for sure, is a big special guy. Even last year, obviously, he didn't make the team and was a practice squad player. And, that guy practices hard, plays hard, runs fast, does everything that's asked of him. So Wanye is going to be a special player on special teams and in the safety position or whatever is really asked of him as well. And then I think Devin Harper is another one. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year as well, but obviously he probably most likely had a lot of special teams reps in college, and then once he got here, he played special teams early on until he was injured. And so the work that he's put in on all 4 phases this year has been special to see. And I think Israel is another guy that will be a good special teams guy to have on all cylinders. And so those 3 guys are guys that stand out to you as teammates that you watch how they practice and watch how they move on special teams, especially me being a young guy. You'll look for these guys to see, like, okay, I see how he's doing it. Oh, I like what he did here, so, you can try it out. But those are guys that have really caught my attention.
When you got here, having not played teams in college, and everybody said, now remember, your way to get on the field is special teams. What were you thinking to yourself at that point when you heard that?
In college, I asked, especially my last year, because I knew what I had to put on film and what I needed to do to play at this next level outside of, the 1 or 2 receiver. But it was just something that they weren't not going to let happen. And so I really got here, and I was in every meeting. And like I said, I asked questions. I was around, and it was one of those deals where I had to learn, the ins and outs of every position and where you go and what's asked of that position, and just continue to watch. It was a lot of watching and learning and asking questions. And so when I first got here, it was a lot to pick up as well on special teams, just because I've never, ever done it before. And so me going out there and just, trying to play was also one of the hard things for me to do on special team, because like we talked about, special teams is something that you shouldn't think on. But if you've never done it before and you're not really sure what you're doing, it is easy to think of things that you should be doing, or did you do this, or what could happen. And so like I said, I went through that as well last year playing special teams when I did get the opportunity to play.
The Cowboys Hour is proudly supported by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys.
We are at Cane Rosso in the Star District with Jalen Tolbert of the Cowboys, and we'll be right back. If you've got a question for Jalen and you're driving around in your car, that's going to be tough to handle. But if you're here, hold your hand up and we'll get a microphone around to you. We'll be back with Jalen Tolbert in just a moment.
To the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
And welcome back to Cane Rosso in the Star District on the Cowboys Hour. First of the season. I'm Brad Sham with Christy Scales from the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network and Cowboys receiver Jalen Tolbert. Before we take a question or two from our audience here at Cane Rosso this evening, I want to go back to, we talked about what T.Y. Hilton meant to you last year. Now, everybody who has been around all spring and summer has seen you following Brandon Cooks, and we understand that you've been following him when we couldn't see you. How'd that start, and what have you gotten from him?
Yeah, it started. Obviously, I stayed here this off season and did a lot of training, and I took no trips. I was just straight, work and do it, find a way to get myself better every day. And I was in the facility, met him when he first got traded here, and heck of a dude. I met him. I heard a lot from him from my wide receiver coach, Robert Prince. He coached him in Houston and gave him my number. And from there, it was one of those deals where it slowly built into something special as far as a relationship and fellowship that we built together. And it was one of those like, hey, what do you eat around here? And then I told him, some spots that I like. And then we just continued to grow. Obviously, we went into OTAs and stuff. And we actually, from OTAs, he was asking me, because I think, like I said, I put a lot of work into this offseason, and so he could tell, how prepped and mentally I was on the playbook and where, I was moving around playing all 4 wide receiver positions. And so if he had questions or we were on the field at the same time, he would ask me early on and I would tell him. And so I think I built his trust in that way early on, where it was like, hey, remind me again what we have on this play, and then I'll tell him, that, and we go eat and sit down and talk, and we went at 8, and actually told him we actually went to D Lincoln. He was like, "Where do you want to eat?" And I was like, "Let's go to D Lincoln." It
was either that or Cane Rosso. One or the other, right?
Yeah,
it's all here in the Star District.
And we went there, and it was one of those deals where I told him, we talked about my last year's season, and I told him, how I went and how I felt I could grow from it and be better. And actually, one of the coaches that told me, Brandon Cooks, told him, he sees a lot in me, and I'm like him. And obviously I had practiced at that point. He was like, he has elite talent, and so I'm gonna take care of him. And so that he told the coaches he was gonna get me to come out to Oregon with him in the off season, and he kept his word. And from there, we just our bond and relationship has grown. So I went out to Oregon with him, and Dak and CD actually came out there as well, and we threw at Nike, and we just hung out, and had real fellowship out there. And like I said, I went across the globe and was with Brandon, who I just met, and like I said, heck of a dude, great leader, great human being, great husband, man. And so watching the way that he processes and works and thinks and processes, not only on the field but off the field as well, is big. And so having a veteran guy like that and mentor to follow after that I've never really had in my career, with starting late and being at the school that I was at, I never really had somebody that was above me, that took me under their wing, or told me how you should be, or how to take care of your body, or how you should run this route or do anything. So having somebody like that is special in my early football career.
I want people to pick up on something that I think I heard you say. I want to make sure I got it right. Coach Prince, who, as you mentioned, coached him in Houston, gave him your number.
No, I gave it to him myself in the locker room.
Okay, and then so
after that, but Coach Prince had raved about the type of guy that he was, and was like this guy, like, he's not going to be the type of guy that comes in and wants to step on toes and wants to think he's better than everybody. Like, he's a great guy, so pick his brain or whatever. And like I said, all you had to do is tell me once, and so gave him my number, and started picking his brain a little bit, and from there just continued to grow our relationship. And like I said, now we talk every day, whether we're at the facility or not.
Doesn't want to step on any toes. I thought NFL wide receivers were supposed to be divas, huh? No? No. It is interesting. How is the dynamic of the wide receiver room different this year?
I think we all play off of each other. I think we all know, how special we can be. And so having, CD, obviously having a guy like Brandon Cooks on the outside to take the top off, and then MG to jump ball, and CD to do what he does, and all play hand in hand off of each other. And then where, I come into play, whatever the role will be for me. And so I think we know that our group can take us far as we want us to take us. And so having each other and, not being selfish within the group and not, being stubborn. Whatever somebody can teach you or tell you, you can grow from it. And so I think that we all understand that and look forward to working off each other. And like I said, it's been fun so far, just from, the little time that we have had together, from OTAs to training camp, working off of each other and having that energy boost and competition as well throughout the room to get better and push us to go where we want to go.
Before we run out of time, I think we've got a question here in the audience.
Hi, Jalen. Nice to see you. How did Dak help you this year with your new role in the offense?
Dak is an incredible leader, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. And so he actually, this offseason, or at the end of the season, he got me a book, and I read a book and annotated it. It's called Relentless by Tim Grover. And I actually sat down with Dak and had lunch, and, we talked about my situation as well. And he put light into my situation as far as, not everybody should start at the top. Starting at the top, you have nowhere to go but down. And, starting at the bottom, it shows you to appreciate, where you are right now and how much better you can be. And having a quarterback and a leader like that also believes in you as a player and as a person is special. And so having him know that, I have the talent and ability, and just putting it together, and him working with me this offseason day in and day out, whether it was, at his house or the facility, was special. And having, like I said, a leader like that is very comforting, and having him, to help me with my confidence was special. And he played a big part in it as well, outside of, myself and, the wide receivers.
And in that book, Grover, so kind of the mental aspect of it, didn't he work with like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and the like?
Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Dwight Howard, a couple other guys as well. And it's a great read. It's an outstanding read.
Relentless, right? I'm
Yep.
just going to go put that in my phone right now. We're almost out of time. Jalen Tolbert, thank you so much. One last thing.
1 minute.
Can you quantify the excitement for going out and playing a real game that counts and matters right now with everything that's gone on in the offseason?
I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to get out there and do what I can for the team, and I'm definitely excited to go out there and start the new journey with this team, and see how far we can take it. And so I'm looking forward to growing on the season. Obviously, we'll have our highs and lows, but looking forward to building upon everything.
It's been a real joy to watch you throughout the off season, because your growth is tangible. You can reach out and touch it. So I'm fired up to watch you once the season starts. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Yes, sir.
There's
Appreciate
Jalen Tolbert, everybody. And for Christy Scales, I'm Brad Sham. We will be right back here at Cane Rosso in the Star District next Monday night, 6 o'clock live taping, wherever and whenever you're hearing this on the Cowboy Hour.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,